It's a pleasure, always a pleasure to be with you.
First of all, Mr. Adams, it's impossible to start this interview without mentioning the emotional images of the three hostages returning to Israel. There is not a single Jew, I believe, who wasn't deeply moved by those photos today.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing today that we saw those three strong, beautiful young women returning home alive, seemingly in good health. It truly is a miracle to their resilience, and we are all citizens of Israel, all decent-minded people in the entire world are happy to see them come home.
As you described it to me before the interview, this moment feels like a true Yom Chag. Moving to another significant event, President-elect Trump's inauguration. You've been personally invited to attend. What can you share with us about the invitation and your thoughts on the event?
So, again, I mentioned it's a blessing to see the hostages return home. Our prayers were answered when President Trump won the election. President Trump has proven himself to be a true friend of Israel. In his first term, he did remarkable things. He moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, which was the American law, but all presidents had signed waivers. He had the strength and moral conviction to complete what was promised. He recognized the Golan, that we own the Golan Heights. Our sovereignty there is forever. And imagine, with the fall of Syria, had we ever decided to play with the Golan Heights and decide to compromise on our security, his recognition is more than symbolic. It gives us standing in the world. The Golan is ours, and in this time, it's of particular importance. President Trump has appointed the most pro-Israel cabinet in history. His new ambassador, who is not Jewish by tradition, a lot of the ambassadors from the U.S. have been Jewish, but Mike Huckabee actually loves us more than we love ourselves, and we couldn't ask for a better ambassador. And so Trump has proven himself that he's a great friend of Israel. And again, in his previous term, we had the Abraham Accords. All of the experts told Trump that he was wrong, it couldn't happen, and he defied everyone's expectations. He is an out-of-the-box thinker. He is unconventional. He is brave, and he has moral conviction. And we have a great, great friend in President Trump.
You've described Trump as a great friend of Israel, but many are wondering whether he will continue to support Israel as strongly in his upcoming term. What is your assessment of his plans for our region?
I believe that Trump is a man who has been saying the same thing. He's a man of great conviction. He doesn't change his views and his talk based on public opinion, how the wind is blowing. He's been saying the same thing for the last 40 years. I've seen interviews with a young Donald Trump, and he's always maintained the same views. So I believe that his views on Israel are demonstrated by his choice of cabinet picks. And if you listen to what the cabinet members have been saying, they all understand that Hamas needs to be eliminated, cannot rule Gaza, notwithstanding the hostage deal that we've made. Hamas cannot rule Gaza. The cabinet members have mentioned, of course, that Iran is an issue that must be dealt with. I think they really understand it. And for us today, even more important than Gaza, once our hostages come home, really is Iran. It's more important. It's the single biggest strategic threat to our country. We took care of all of their proxies. We did amazing. I am so proud of our country, of our soldiers, of our technology, of our brilliant IDF. I'm so proud of them. What we did to Hezbollah, they told us we would have 5,000 missiles raining on us, which would have overwhelmed our defense systems. And we have no missiles raining on us, and we have destroyed them. So, and the fall of Syria was as a result. So now we have to focus on Iran. And for me, the greatest problem we face, both America, both the West, all of the West, but specifically America and Israel, is eliminating the nuclear threat and I will go one step further, fomenting, helping, abetting regime change in Iran. If we were to see a regime change in Iran, the Iranian people despise their regime. So the conditions are there. They have no beef with Israel. They have no beef with the Jews. We know it. There are contacts with Iranians. We know that they would embrace a warm hug with Israel, and we could see peace with Iran. We could see peace with Syria, with Lebanon. Of course, President Trump, the next peace deal we hope to see is with Saudi, and quickly followed by Indonesia. But if we saw a regime change in Iran, all of the dominoes would fall. After the few I mentioned, Syria, Lebanon, and everyone else, we would see Oman, Kuwait, we'd see Qatar, the double crossers of Qatar. They would change sides and they would come and join us. And they would all be standing in line to have a free trade agreement with Israel, because they would all want to benefit from our brilliant economy and our technological prowess. And we would see peace, honestly, I believe, for 100 years.
On the critical issue of Iran, can we count on President-elect Trump to stand with us? Have you recently spoken with him or with anyone in his close circle about this matter?
So I have spoken to some of the members of the cabinet. And as I said, the cabinet is very strong on this. The new Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, he's made strong statements recently on this. He wouldn't be making the statements unless they were authorized by his boss, President Trump. So I believe that Trump understands the problem, will not be, by the way, I forgot to mention also, they've been clear with us. They will, all of the restrictions that Biden put on us on weaponry and the things that we need to finish the job in the region, Trump will release them. We have a great friend, and I think he truly understands the issues that we face.
And speaking of regional peace, you were also invited to the signing ceremony of the Abraham Accords. Do you think there is a possibility you'll be invited to a similar ceremony this year, perhaps one that marks an expansion of the Accords to include Saudi Arabia?
So I was told by Jared Kushner, by the way, who's become a bit of a friend, I was told that had Trump been reelected, they were days away from a peace deal with Saudi. The deal had all been negotiated, and they were just simply waiting for Trump to be reelected. So I think it's been made more complicated by Biden, unfortunately, because he pushed them away, and they also saw that the American system is democratic, and it means that you can have alternation between friends and people and administrations that are less friendly. And the Saudis are asking for a lot more. And Israel will also need to give some permissions to the Saudis. They're talking about more advanced weaponry, things like the F-35 jets. And Israel will have to participate in these trilateral negotiations. But ultimately, I really believe we will see a peace agreement with the Saudis. And as I mentioned, I think the Indonesians will be next because we have a president in the White House who understands the region, who will make it happen. And the Saudis were reluctant to give Biden a peace agreement with us because Biden was very hostile to Saudi, and he only changed his mind when the price of oil went up, and he came with his hat like this and asking for favors from MBS, Mohammed bin Salman. Really, I think we're going to see a real wave of peace blowing across our region with wonderful new administration.
Mr. Sylvan Adams, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you. And again, זה יום חג, היום עם החטופים שלנו. It's a dream to see them come home, and let's bring all of the hostages home.